Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining the ARC of Fort Bend County, our Parent Education Support Group meeting on Zoom today. My name is Carrie Axtell, and I'm the Advocacy and Youth Programs Director here at the ARC. We want to welcome you. We usually meet the first Thursday each month, second Thursday each month throughout the school year. And we have some wonderful programs and different speakers that we'll invite here from our community. And we just love learning from each other. And so we thank you for being here and being part of this. And if you want to stick around after and talk about any of your life experiences as parents, we share that as well. But this support group is a project of the ARC of Fort Bend County, which is a nonprofit. And we were established in 1968 for people with intellectual and developmental disabilities. And our mission is to ensure opportunities for people with IDD and their families to help maximize their quality of life in our community. We do that through disability rights advocacy for and with people with IDD, and we provide information about community services, resources, help with different resource fairs and support groups for parents, as well as our teen and adult siblings who are our future caregivers. And we also hold several social and recreational programs for people in their teens, 20s, and well into mature adulthood. So we have a lot of fun here at the ARC of Fort Bend as well. So if you'd like to join us, we welcome you to do that. We are home to the largest Special Olympics delegation for adults with IDD in our region, with 11 different Special Olympics sports, and we have over 130 athletes. So many wonderful things going on here at the ARC, lots of fun things. We have a teen respite night and other events. So if you want to find out more, visit our website, arcoffortbend.org, and also check out our Instagram or Facebook page where we'll post about different things we've got going on there as well. If you'd like to reach out to me, Carrie Axtell, I will post my email address in the chat box, but it's kaxtell, AXTELL, at ARC, A-R-C, of fortbend.org. And I'll go ahead and introduce you here to our speaker. If you have any questions for our speaker, who is Justin Moehn with Blue Sprig Pediatrics, he's here today to talk about Employment 101. And he is a data entry clerk with Blue Sprig ABA Therapy and also a self-advocate. And we are in the month of April, which is Autism Awareness. So it's we're honored to have Justin here, a self-advocate and knowledgeable about employment. He has his own personal journey with being an individual on the spectrum and finding meaningful employment in the community. And so he has a lot of wisdom he can share with us. Justin Moehn, he's also a public speaker, and I mentioned an autism self-advocate. He enjoys teaching about the many community resources available to people with autism, and he also speaks to professionals and first responders about the realities of living with autism and how they can better serve the neurodiverse population. Justin was also recognized by the ARC of Fort Bend back in 2019 for his years of self-advocacy work, so we appreciate what he does in the community. Justin graduated from Austin High School and Fort Bend ISD in 2001, and he's also received his PC Technical Support Certification and Associates in Office Administration from Wharton County Junior College. He's worked at Blue Sprig ABA Therapy as a data entry clerk for 4 years now, and he continues to present to many businesses, organizations, and various events. So Justin, thanks for being here and sharing information about not only your own employment journey and especially on in April, Autism Awareness Month. Thank you for helping be an advocate out there in the community. So thank you for your helpful tips for other self-advocates about employment.
No problem. Yeah. So basically, Carrie's basically hit spot on wise on my joint background wise. So it's gonna hit the next slide, I guess. So, but yeah, like some of that entry clerk for them, and been there for 4 years. And next slide. And basically, our mission basically is we're playing field for all. We welcome why like not judgmental, compassionate, passionate, and base rule stats called Paul Salt mission. Next slide. And children, families, we heart everything we do. And basically, my background wise is as 1985 and over Texas children that have basically have some help here and there because I face some challenges of assignments, repeating making decisions. And my strengths are understand people and do advocate and play V games, socialize people, and computers wise, a shy person from schools, basically all the way to my latter part years, junior, senior high school, more social skills, trained, became more social butterfly, 18 to drive, and just to get more comfort behind the wheel wise, and basically for a walk a little bit. Next one. Yeah. Basically, I went to schools out here for big Conroe Elementary, speech therapy, occupational therapy, age pro content. Went to Hodge Bend, Garcia Middle Schools. Basically, did some mixture of special ed, regular ed classes. Basically, from it's like English, math, and reading were my special ed classes, and science and social studies were my regular ed classes. And then the PE things didn't like that much. So, and of course, from middle school was rough, basically for a lot of people, of course. High school basically is similar stuff, basically, and the 2 year theater arts and a special speech class and the driver's ed course for a semester, and just the whole transitioning from high school is a year to sell in wise, basically. And of course, like Carrie mentioned, I had my certifications from college wise for data entry in Wharton and basically at HCC I did, and the transition program for the school district for a year wise of 01 to 02 years, basically. Next. And I did got services from Texan, basically. Did a couple of speaking presentations, basically. And then some, of course, these are list of them wise, and some I done more than once wise, like the Richmond Rotary Club. I did one not long ago wise, and of course, I did a presentation last week at Avondale House, basically as well. So, well, some other places I know, some Shea Oaks Primary School got basically they've been helping more, especially taking kids on the high functional autism wise at their school, and a lot of them areas out in Texas City. I've done presentations wise for some school districts out there, including the Rosenberg Library. So I'm getting more out there wise, and of course the law enforcement I speak to with the like Fort Bend Sheriff's Office, basically, and Prairie View I did basically, and of course some like background experience basically is over like George Moore Library. I was there for 8 years, showing books wise, and fine for a while basically. But I want to do more stuff like an autism spectrum aspect to more have knowledge on that, and wasn't using my computer skills wise basically when I was with them. So that's a couple of reasons why I left wise basically. And I mean, it's fine for a while, but after a while, just it wasn't room for growth wise within the place there. So it wasn't move up wise. I was stuck in the same position for many years. So it's one reason why I left wise too. And next slide. And of course, now I've been Blueberry, like Carrie mentioned, for a couple of years wise, and been jack of trades from basically where it's been more helping at the one locations wise with the doing stuff for them. I did the RBT training with them basically, but more, problems for me. I couldn't grasp working with the kids. So basically, like I mentioned, my background skills as an office basically aspects basically. So I've been more behind the desk wise, where it's front desk with them at that location, and like where it's doing stuff for the operation manager to do stuff with the like the kid, when the kids being dropped off, picking up wise, so families know basically to answering the phones there basically. And over time they moved me to the support office, which is in Houston wise. Basically, been doing stuff that in that location more as a data entry clerk, basically for them, and or it's helping out HR or compliance departments, basically, and doing public speaking events. So I've been kind of well, it's not every day is not the same. Wise, I mean, I know some of the people also expect like more repetitive, but mine's not really that. I mean, so like one day I could be doing this, next day I could be doing something else, but it keeps me busy wise, regardless. Where it's doing stuff behind a computer or out in the field work, basically. But yeah, it's so I learned a lot within the company wise of self, like especially doing the RBT training, basically from the discrete child training, natural environments, ethics codes, prompts, fades, chaining, basically data collecting wise. So it's a lot of information, especially at learn have to do a HIPAA wise, so learn that too. Basically, there's privacy between patient and the professional wise. So I learn about that too, and of course, stuff I do still this day. It's under a HIPAA guidance code too, as well. Basically, where it's working with compliance and all things, looking over the session notes and make sure everything's done right. So next, but some of the stuff we talk about today, wise, basically, is some of the start employments, basically, is where it's resume building to networking to job research on stuff at the interviews, practice, HIPAA, basically, like I mentioned some of it, and of course, report your wages SSI. I know I got backlash at times for not doing that, but also if you're able to speak bilingual, like Spanish or whatever, basically that'd be a more great asset for getting your foot in the door of companies wise. Because I know sometimes when back in the days when I was younger, look at job posting, it said bilingual wise, and basically for me, I couldn't really apply for that because if I don't speak Spanish. So next slide. But here's some of the samples you can use for to build a resume wise to for a good starting point wise, where it's just a so having volunteer experience, achievements, awards, or you done after school activities, basically, to put on your resume wise, with basic information wise to, if you don't, it would be good start points wise for putting on there. Well, basically, all right, what you're more talent wise in, basically, or or extra activities, basically too, like involving our groups and communities. But basically, for networking wise, it can the right people wise, if you know someone on the inside, or if you know about referrals to basically, if you Google social media outlets like LinkedIn, Facebook, or on what websites wise to market yourself, basically, like if sell yourself to, like if you're selling, like if you go to a car dealership and you're trying to sell a car kind of thing, basically. That's basically how you get to, basically your foot in the door wise, basically too. Like with the interviewing, basically, and put yourself out there wise. The eye contact, of clear communication, don't mumble, basically look good wise, and just also attend events like job fairs or well, do webinar presentations, basically anything like that. If you basically go to different vendor tables to talk to people wise and see what you need to do wise. If you put on like applications or make resume looks good, it basically just to get their network being built up wise, and get to know people and just say, hey, I'm here, I want to work, kind of things, or just to present yourself and make keep refreshing yourself on their resumes. And I mean, later this month we'll be having like I know some events like transition fairs events like from Fort Bend ICB later this month to attend those wise for, or places that are looking for people for work, or like help wanted signs, or what, basically try to attend those or whatever. Basically, put your application out to hand them resumes. Next slide. But in interviewing, basically research the companies, what does the company do, and what their background is, basically themselves, this job description, what the hours are, how, like what's part time, full time, basically what the job duties involve, and what requirements for skills they want, basically they're looking for. So if you don't have a certain thing like background, like a degree, associates, or whatever, don't bother applying for that position wise, because they probably won't get time of day on your application or anything. So, and basically certain things you can do wise, and dress appropriately, basically a nice shirt for slacks for guys, and girl wise, and comfortable wise, shoes wise, to hair comb, basically just clean up, basically, but just not too casual, like if you're just coming out of the street wise, or jeans and dirt or whatever, construction site kind of thing or whatever. Arrive early, basically 10, 15 minutes, know that you're They say you can be prompt on time, or just if you need a, like a last minute cleanup, or if you come out with like a wind tunnel, or it's like a windy day outside, see if you can look at a bathroom and see if you can do a little cleanup, or like take a breath mint or whatever, basically to have a nice fresh breath too. If you about to have your interview wise, basically if you need to. So just do some last minute tie ups if you get there a little early too, basically. If we copy a resume just in case we need it, so you have something to work with, why some talking points, basically might help a little bit on your resume, basically, or for just in case if they need one too as well. And the fall, basically, just keep them fresh in mind, like just to send me email or thank you note, just to say thank you for your time, or you know, because I'm sure they have plenty of people that interview wise themselves or applications the employer has to go through. So, but just keep them on top of the list wise for you. Try to make sure you have a good chance of getting the job wise. But if you do get job wise, basically it's some of the stuff they're going to want, basically like your social security, driver's license, etc. Know your schedule, basically be punctual, be on time, basically look decent wise, especially to have like a dress code that give you uniforms, basically make sure it looks good, like a shirt or whatever, not wrinkled or whatever, basically, and know who you're working with and report to, basically like who's your coworkers, your supervisor, basically, and you have questions or complaints, basically to customer if you're dealing with customers, or you have a problem with your program or something wise on your computer, so, you know, basically different things, basically, so they can help you fix it or fix the issues, basically resolve the problems. Depends on the companies too, on how many hours you work per day. They give 15-minute break or lunch, basically, and work around that wise, and so you can be able to do this, get back to work wise in a as well on that front. But also on some of the training schedules or orientations, like if they have companies like mine, or you know places if they have like things that you do basically for help learn how to do a better job on it, or orientations basically, or how to do certain tasks and or whatever, basically within the company. And then basically the other things, don't talk about religion or politics. It usually gets basically a little trouble wise. And the other thing I basically is try not to have a relationship with a coworker, like a boyfriend girlfriend thing either. I forgot another thing I just thought of too recently, because that sometimes stuff like that could be a mess even. And it could lead chances of getting fired or suspended, you know, things like those trouble wise, basically be certain things you do on the job wise. So try to keep the being try to see if you can maintain a job for years and be able to get your paycheck and everything too. And basically the whole thing's about really is more just work all the time, getting paychecks and do what you need to do wise for them. And of course, places like mine, if you're in healthcare, dental industries, basically the health insurance, basically it's confidential stuff, and basically is put in the law back in '96, basically, and what's to do with health insurance or confidentialize and keeping things basically. You don't want people like me or any place like doctors, dentists, basically going around blabbing about something that they done wise, basically. So I mean, I know I make sure for mine, I don't talk about this person doing having this whatever, and because I know that's going to get me in trouble or get me let go wise or fired, basically. So keeping that kind of stuff basically it's very crucial wise. It's more trust and everything else basically on a piece, you know, for on the company guidelines. And of course, you know, having to do health insurance and you know, base companies want to get their money wise and everything too, but it keeps the things on the in line wise and helps basically the the safety guidelines and the confidential reports basically. And next, and of course, basically people with disabilities or autism, basically, you get an SSI checks or whatever. Basically, we get depends how many times you get paid per week or 2 weeks or monthly. Report that stuff to SSI so they can keep and maintain when they pay out wise to you wise. So basically, always keep that in mind too. Report their wages basically, so where it's you mail it or call them or the app wise, basically. And basically like where it's the Houston office out here or where nearby, basically, so they make sure nothing gets messed up on that front wise, and so be able to keep your SI of the health insurance basically from them. And questions got if an employee has a little heavy on foot, right, so it's like from the CIT stuff I talked to basically, but not to get ticket basically. Hopefully that's the case for me on that front. And mostly I say about my public speaking wise for I say about my job wise. I mean, it's like I said, I've learned so many different things within my own work wise, basically, even what I went to college for. And I was on the wait list for an HCS class, basically Medicaid wait list. I usually tell families this about all the time. Like if you have a child who's on the autism spectrum, you got diagnosed at 3, or I'll get them on the Medicaid wait list ASAP, basically, because I was on for 14 years waiting. So if I was, because by the time it'll be like 20 something, basically, but closer to 20 is basically when their number comes up wise. And have I got ABA services? The answer to that is no. Any other questions? And I think that's about really.
Wow. Yeah, no, a lot of great content you covered there. Let's see. So yeah, just since this is kind of more personal stuff. So you said you did get pulled over.
Yeah, well, it's a little
How
heavy
was
on the
that? Was
foot.
that scary?
Yeah, it is like for a lot of people.
Yeah. I'm scared and I'm nervous when I get pulled over and I get a ticket and I'm like, man.
Hmm.
Oh, um, I don't know if anybody else has any questions
Yeah,
offhand.
yeah.
I
Melody
really
said
let
if
me
when I
I'm gonna
started
go back.
working, basically, and I went to a transition program, and I did, and yes, I did basically on the transition program. I did. Melody's asking basically when I started working, I was 18, basically. My first job basically was a grocery store, sacking groceries and getting carts wise. I got Albertsons, basically. I mean, that basically you have to start at the bottom of the barrel. I know, like for a lot of us, I mean, I'm sure you did carry, and a lot
Yeah,
of other
we all
people,
got to start somewhere.
like more second groceries, fast food, basically working cashier or working the fryers, deep fryers. Basically, you have to start somewhere. Since I did have a job coach wise on that, basically, yes, I did. Basically, to check up on me and help me get more settled in with those workplaces. Basically, it's very it's there's a lot of learning curve. Why, especially if your first job, basically, it's not like schools where it help you guide through it. But basically, once you start working, it's a different ball game, a different bird itself. Basically, when it comes to employment, I mean, it's not nitpicked, or it's not what's the word I'm looking for. All daisies and cream or whatever kind of thing. It's not as simple, basically, as it is.
Yeah, yeah. And I think that's, I mean, just
Not
sharing
short code. That's the word I was looking for. Yeah.
yeah. Well, sharing my experience as well. I think that's a typical experience is like you were saying, you have to start somewhere, work from the ground up. Sometimes you're going to work really hard and feel like, man, why can't I already be, promoted or whatever? But
Mhm.
also knowing that there's a lot of valuable experience that I gained by having some of those jobs that maybe don't seem like they're very important, but they really are. And then they allowed you to see how the whole process works.
Yeah, especially
Right?
you're trying to find your first job, second job. You're trying to still get an idea of where you want to be and near future wise for where you want to work and other thing else. I mean, it's just that kind of exposure is the other thing, and your work schedule to working with coworkers, your boss. I mean, it's a big learning curve. I look at too.
Mhm.
I mean, yeah, it's I mean, but yeah, the autism thing basically that is a tricky area, especially when it's the early 2000s, basically when I started working, basically like 01, 02, basically it was the whole autism thing. I don't think when it comes to that and the workforce, I think it was not formative much or wasn't well put out there much, or there wasn't
Mhm.
programs like much out there transitions to employers basically understanding, or companies out there are not much knowing out there about it for it. The on the whole aspect on that front, on the compared to nowadays, it's gotten better, but it still needs a lot of work wise on the forward. It's still, I think, employers wise and companies, and just to go through HR. I mean, and everything else, because I know you got some companies are small and more responsive, and you got some companies like mine are big or whatever, and you go through HR, and don't know if it's going to get to the right people wise, the handouts to the, because it goes through HR, and the and it might get, ball might get dropped somewhere. So
Yeah.
it
Who do
just all
you who
depends
do
on
you
who.
talk to when you need some guidance? Like, just because we all feel frustration that sometimes in our life, like I know sometimes I might be a little frustrated by something that's going on, and I'll even, either talk to, my husband or maybe a friend of mine. Do you have any advice for somebody who's maybe looking for work or in a job now and is frustrated? Like, what do you do? What are some of your suggestions?
I mean, where's okay? What's the situation like? Are on a job,
Just
or
if
they're
you're
looking for
feeling,
work, or
yeah, they're looking for work, and maybe they want to have a support person, somebody that they reach out to. So maybe it's like maybe a parent or maybe a trusted
yeah. I mean,
friend
that's
or
yeah. I mean, yeah, because things like, I mean, I know when I was unemployed, times I was seeing therapists and everything too, because I felt
yeah.
like I was stuck in a rut or a dead end or whatever.
Mm,
I mean, because I feel like I was getting nowhere in life, because I mean, I feel like I set my bar too low at the time, basically.
mm.
Well, especially when I was at the library job, I think even I had people like Debbie Elder, who, if you met her or not, care,
Yes. Oh, she's a phenomenal presenter. Yes, she's
yeah,
presented for us before.
yeah, because she's the one who basically guide me where, because she helped me get like raise my bar wise on where
So
I
you
need to
had a
be.
mentor then,
Yeah,
right? A
I had
mentor.
people who mentor me wise, who try to help me raise my bar more, and it's just because, for get me out of that rut from, well, I was at the library job to where I'm at now, because I feel like I raised it literally, especially when it came
Hmm.
to pay, to what I want to do for the advocacy work, to working more families with autism, or be able to attend more events. Like us last week, I was at the April 2nd, the presentation. Yeah, it was probably, yeah, April 2nd, the presentation of Richmond Rotary Club. Then after that, went to the office basically, and of course talked to some of my colleagues there. I was kind of surprised to see some people there having meetings and everything, but I was not. It was like, well, it was nice to see some of them. And afterwards, me and my colleague went to the Minute Maid Park for the Autism Century Night for the Astros thing, basically.
Yeah.
And we had like vendor table there. A couple of my colleagues who were there from different locations, basically from clinics wise. It was a good time wise, I thought. Basically,
Mhm.
talked to some families, some of my colleagues, basically. Actually, it's been decades since I went to see an Astros game, basically myself.
Yeah. Melody had another great question of like, if you were to think about what you would like to see employers do more to be more accepting of hiring people with neurological differences, like what could an employer, or what are some of the things that would allow it to be more welcoming to, a person who happens to be on the spectrum?
Well, yeah, I mean, yeah, because I know there's some like, because the trick is, because I know some areas are still, I mean, it depends on the employer if they know about the autism aspect or not. I mean, that's the other thing, and because they can, the companies, they have like so many different people. Like the company says they do, but about the person more, like certain locations, or on the more local offices, or the or understanding wise. I mean, that's the other thing, of course the other thing too is, just if they're, if they're willing to work with them in the or no certain task that can do wise, basically within the company wise, because I know certain positions when job postings are put up wise, they apply for it, the interview wise, and they can do certain things on the posting wise, but not all of it. That's the other thing. Or the position like mine was creative in the company wise is another thing, because
Yeah.
it wasn't
So
like
just, it sounds like accommodations, like if they
Mhm.
know they have a certain need, but maybe there's one aspect of it that either needs to be accommodated, or just thinking about ways how they can support the person. Is that kind of,
I mean, because that's how I look at it wise,
yeah,
yes. And because like so certain things can be met wise, or certain things that can be done within the company wise that could be help take the load off for employers or whatever too. Because I
yeah,
know it's like I've been more jack of trades with my own company, help on with compliance, Kim Ryer wise, or Michelle Glavin HR wise. I've been helping them on their loads here. Or like sometimes I could be helping out my supervisor Sarah Jenkins her stuff at times too.
yeah. I have a question, just about your networking. You mentioned about networking and kind of maybe some of the different sites and websites and things that you can go to. What are some of the networking aspects that worked for you? Um,
I mean, mostly I've been like a Facebook. I had at times, basically talking to people there,
mhm,
and of course the for me to getting the job at Blue Spring was its own journey, wise because I mean I applied for RBT. I positioned one location
mhm,
and had an interview at the K location and didn't get it, and then calls. And of course, I could just end it there, but no, I called back people and they set me up for another location, Stafford wise. And
mhm,
before that Stafford one, I did a speaking presentation with Autism Speaks, and I met Summer wise basically. And I told them I had a position to apply for, and she's like one of the higher ups within the company wise, and also some other staff members. And
mhm,
basically, and I had my interview at the Stafford location, and I probably they didn't know it. I mean, I pretty much helped. I just kind of like disguised my autism thing. I look like a normal person, but
mhm.
if of course, like the summer thing helped, and of course, they found out I was on the autism spectrum. And that helped, I guess, a lot basically too. And of
Well,
course, that's what helped job wise.
what I kind of noticed with that pattern, and just all throughout your careers, the different places you've been, is persistence. Is I
Mm-hmm.
just hear that you didn't give up, and that you're continuing to do the things that you enjoy. So you're still doing speaking engagements. Here you went to, you were dedicated to a job for 8 years at the library, and you were still doing your passion and speaking and advocating for people out in the community, which led to other opportunities, which led to meeting more people, and that you were just persistent, that you kept going,
Yeah.
even with the Blue Sprig, where you work with now, you had to interview several different times, several different locations, but you knew that's what you wanted, so you just kept going.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's an amazing amount of persistence.
I mean, well, the thing is too is my library job though. The problem was I was having to I couldn't really do certain things because I had to be at their locations shelving books wise for it. And I wanted there's like certain events or activities I wanted to be present at, or doing events like public speaking events or whatever. Like, because
Mhm,
there's times like when there's a CIT presentation going and I was at the library job, I couldn't do that because I had to be there. But where I'm
mhm.
at now, I'm able be present wise more still, and still be able to do my stuff. I mean, I'm a pretty much marketing basically for Blue Springs. What the whole thing too is basically.
Yeah, so you've had to
So advocate and
juggle a
marketing.
lot.
Mhm.
Yeah, well, great job. I echo what some Melody saying. Great job, Justin. Absolutely, great job. Your persistence, your presentation, outlining for us just all these best practices, things to consider and to think about. Having that professional resume, networking, and doing your marketing of yourself using social media, the interview process, some great tips there, things to think about. And then even once you've got the job, how to kind of maintain your job and your relationship with your coworkers and your supervisors. So there's some really great tips, pointers, things to consider in here, Justin. Thank you so much for sharing this with us today. Any last question from our participants here before we sign off for the
But
day?
yeah, anything like I mentioned earlier too is if you have a child that's newly diagnosed with autism spectrum, get them on the Medicaid waiver waitlist programs ASAP, like or
Yes.
HCS programs or class programs. I mean, look that up, boys. I mean, because that's very crucial. Because that's, I mean, I was on it for 14 years waitlist, but I mean, here families now like they've been waiting 20 years for it. So to get
Yeah.
before they get approved. So that's yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So it's crucial. I look at it basically. Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Yeah. If
Get
you
them.
live in Fort Bend County, the local authority to first make contact with is Texana Center. And you can, look up their information, but their Texana's phone number 281-239-1300, or Texana, I think it's texanacenter.com is their website. So there's kind of your front line as the local authority for people with intellectual and developmental disabilities. And if you ever have questions, please reach out to us here at the ARC of Fort Bend as well. We're always here to walk alongside you and guide and if we don't know about what to do or where the resources are, we will find out. We will work with you and try to get the resources that your family's needing. So, well, Justin, thank you for presenting on this very important, relevant topic today. And also thank you for just being a self-advocate and advocating out there in the community for people with uh, neuro
Yeah,
neurological differences
yeah.
and autism. And
Advocate for the ABA Medicaid too thing basically as
yes,
well. That's the other
so
thing I
important.
did. Which that was the wait for in Texas. I mean, all our states were on board, right? The Medicaid thing. We were like almost like one of the last states to get approved for it. So, which I think is, I
Wow.
mean, you got families out there who want ABA service, but they have Medicaid insurance. I mean, I know back then before it was approved, I was telling them sorry, but I wish I could
Yeah.
do more, but I couldn't at the time. But
And now is the time actually to reach out to your representatives in your area, the state representatives, because right now during the interim legislative session, that's when they're working on getting these bills written, talking to their constituents, talking to people that live out there in their community, finding out what your needs are.
yeah,
So contact
there's
your
there's
local
a
representatives.
there's a
Tell them that
bill
this
right
wait
now.
list is ridiculous.
There's a bill that's in this Texas Senate right now. It's called the Chelsea bill, whatever. Basically, it's supposed to provide the school districts are supposed to provide the families for the wait list right now. It went through the House. It's sitting in the Texas Senate right now. But of course, like there are this year's an election year. They're not going to do that stuff right now. Basically, unfortunately, they're out. They're campaigning vote for me kind of thing right now. Of course, the
Right,
election year.
right.
So
Yes, but they will, so next year when they start the legislative session, those bills are really kind of written and crafted now on the off year so that in the legislative year they can,
yeah.
talk about it and hopefully get some things passed. But
Hmm.
all right. Well, thank you so much, Justin, again for your time. Excellent presentation, and your information is there. You can email Justin at jmoen@bluesprigpediatrics.com. There on the screen. And thanks
Hmm.
again for being a resource. Thanks for joining us today, everybody.
No problem. Glad to have you guys on board today too.